Hey everyone, welcome to Singapore, Formula One's first night race, as well as one of the hardest and hottest tracks on the F1 calendar. Now this track has a fascinating history. 4 drivers only have ever won here, Sebastian Vettel along with Lewis Hamilton having 4 wins each. Now this track is a very strong area for Red Bull and they've just had so much success here in the past. Now also, Singapore is the only track in F1 history to hold a wet night race. And this weekend we again have a wet weather forecast. Just imagine hot, hard and wet. That just makes it fantastic for us fans to watch. Now I'm super excited to watch this weekend's race, even though I wasn't quite in the game here. Now I had to choose the wet weather tires for quali and a great car setup, but unfortunately I had to abort a lot of the laps because of mistakes made lowest of the lowest grip conditions in this tight street circuit. So here's my 4th and final lap on a new set of tires in fact, and it just has been a great lap, a lot of time gained, but we go a little bit wide on the exit and fortunately the game has to end the quali session because of the time constraint. Just a little bit of a tap on the wall and there's just nothing I can do. No flashbacks, nothing. The AI just takes over and that is the way we end our quali session.
Welcome then to Marina Bay and a tough, bumpy street circuit that will test these drivers to their absolute limit. So sit back and enjoy the action here at the Singapore Grand Prix. We have a high risk of a safety car here today, I think, as the abundance of tight corners mixed with these wet conditions could put a few cars off and into the barriers. 23 turns then, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, make up the 3.1 mile lap of Marina Bay. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Bottas, and Daniel Ricciardo, Ocon, Zhou, Pierre Gasly, and Magnussen, Tsunoda, Albon, Mick Schumacher, and Sebastian Vettel, Stroll, and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? As a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these conditions: standing water, tyre temperature, and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Great stuff then, great track again, but we're going out on a set of intermediate tires this time because it's not that wet outside. But unfortunately, the lack of straights or just a lack of place to do it, we won't be able to warm up our tires too much. So we're going to have to take every opportunity to get a little bit of weavy action going on. But that just wasn't so much enough to get the tires up to warm temperature. But anyway, let's get going then. So good evening then from the Marina Bay Street Circuit, Singapore GP. 5 lights out and away we go. Track's very damp. Everyone has to take a lot of care not to get that wheel spin because that's going to lose a lot of time. And then George Russell goes through the inside. Just a little bit of a dive bomb just did not work out for him. He almost does lose the position against his teammate Lewis Hamilton. We can see Carlos Sainz then side by side with the Ferrari of Max Verstappen. Who's going to get ahead? And it is Max Verstappen on this occasion. The track will be drying soon, so we're going to see drivers pushing to the limits, try and get all that performance out of the intermediate tires before, of course, the pit stops. So here we are then looking at George Russell's race start. He takes all that great speed that he has and tries to go through the inside and almost makes contact, cutting the corner a little bit, almost losing the position to Lewis Hamilton. Further down the grid then we can see Pierre Gasly getting quite racy in P14. Out of the points currently, Kevin Magnussen as well as Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas going side by side. Everyone's looking for positions out here, like I said, pushing the intermediate tires to the edge. Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly shuffling positions. Esteban Ocon just gets ahead of Valtteri Bottas and stays ahead for the moment. Let's see if Gasly can maintain that position ahead of Kevin Magnussen, and that looks like a settled race order. Esteban Ocon and Gasly gain 1 position each. Couple of laps down then, track is drying up. The Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen then pit together. Is there going to be a shuffling in the pits? Let's see. We're going to go ahead and continue and probably pit in the next lap along with Lewis Hamilton, because of course we cannot go ahead and pit this lap. That is going to be the strategy for a lot of cars that we see, but we're going to go ahead and stay out for 1 more lap. The track is still slightly damp and we pit then in the 4th lap. We have collected a little bit of damage throughout the corners, but we're not going to go ahead and replace that front wing. Now we do know that this is a high downforce track, 50-50 wings right now on my car. But of course 2022 regulations make it so much easier to drive with a little bit of damaged wings. As we come out of the pits then, we do get jumped by George Russell, who almost does make a move on Carlos Sainz, but he just gets blocked out of the pit lane, and that's going to be a move for another day. Now we see problems then from the Haas of Kevin Magnussen earlier, who was looking so very racy, promising pace from the Haas of Kevin, but that's going to be race over for Kevin Magnussen. A very close call then from Daniel Ricciardo, just avoiding the limping Haas ahead. Now I initially had a 4-second gap to Alonso behind me, but that just has closed up. With a lot of mistakes and accumulated damage on the front wings, we almost lose the car right there, but just avoided by Fernando Alonso. Let's take a look then. We enter the corner, touch the wall on the inside, a little bit in the rear of the car. Fernando almost gets ahead of me, just avoids not ramming into my rear. That is then a win for Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. It's a pity that we could not get the pace, even though I had the fastest lap at one point of time on the fresh medium tires. Quite a great result then from Ferrari, but I'm excited, so excited to see the real race on this weekend. Wet conditions may be a situation which means a second wet night race in Formula 1 history in the same track. Amazing guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a fun video to make, but a very difficult race indeed. Now we do know that the season's almost coming to a close. We just have a few more races left. It looks like Max Verstappen is, of course, winning the championship very, very soon. I'm excited to see if Leclerc or Ferrari can get anywhere near Max Verstappen right now, who has more than 100 points difference from the second man, Charles Leclerc, in the Drivers' Championship. But let's see, it's going to be a fun few races towards the end of the season. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Do drop a like and a comment if you guys would like me to make any changes to these videos. Until then, thank you, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.